Hey guys, Southeast Softwash. I'm going to do a quick video here. Get this question a lot, and not just from our systems, but from any 12-volt system. So the arch nemesis of a 12-volt system is an air leak, okay? So when we say an air leak, what we're talking about is you're getting air somewhere into your system on the suction side of the pump. So here's our pump. This would be the suction side, everything on this side of the pump, and that's, of course, the discharge side going up to the hose reel. If you get a leak on the discharge side, it's going to be really obvious. You'll have liquid spraying out. If you get a leak on the suction side, it's not so obvious because the only thing happening is air, a little bit of air is getting in somewhere. Now, that's the million-dollar question, is where is that somewhere? It can be anywhere from the bulkhead, the drop stick going down where it's glued up into the fitting, the hose clamp there on the bulkhead, these connections here from the hose to the barbs. The barbs are sealed up to the check valves. The check valves are, well, like here, the check valve's threaded into the metering valve. The metering valve is sealed up to this elbow. This elbow is threaded into this cross piece. So there's a lot of potential places here where there are connections and they're sealed up and they have to be 100% airtight. So if you're going down the road bouncing around and just everyday wear and tear, things move and vibrate and can come loose. So when you have an air leak, normally the way that you're going to discover you have an air leak is because your distance drops off dramatically. So this one right here is sealed up, ready to go. So let's fire it up and see what kind of distance we should be getting out of a 12-volt system where nothing is messed up. We don't have any leaks. We'll cut the pump on. Everything's pressurized, and we'll shoot it over here in the shop. Okay, so we've done this several times and measured it off. I was actually going to do a video on how far will a 12-volt shoot. It's 50 feet inside of the shop here, no wind, arcing it as far as we can. It's 50 feet. So we know what normal is. Now let's simulate an air leak. There's several ways we can do that. The easiest way that I can do that here is I'm going to pull the suction line out of the surfactant tank. I'm going to stick it up in the air and basically let air get into our line here. See if I can get it prop itself up without falling back down in there. There we go. Okay, so all three lines are open, and watch the difference. All right, here's what's going to happen if you get an air leak. Now that would be a big air leak because it's the whole 1/4 inch line sticking up in the air. All right, the pump sounds different. We heard an instant change in the way the pump sounds, and we're about half of what we should be at spraying distance. So we know something's not right. The question is what is that something that is not right? Now here, we know what it was because we made it happen, but it can be something as simple as having an empty tank. A lot of times, especially on our trailer units, like this right here, this would be our surfactant tank. Well, it's plumbed at the bottom on the trailers, but you can't get those fittings all the way down to the bottom. So you'll have a little bit of liquid in here, but it's just below where the fitting is, so it's allowing air to get in there. So just make sure that all of your tanks have liquid above the levels that it needs to be at for the suction lines. So start at the easiest thing, right? Most of the time it's something simple. Make sure all your tanks have liquid. Once you've verified that, the next step in the process would be, let me pull this back out and we'll show you what you can do. So we'll re-simulate our air leak here. Okay, so it's still going to spray weak. Okay, let's cut the surfactant line off. All right, so if we cut that line off, listen to the pump. It fixed itself. What we've done is we've just eliminated that leg of the system out. We cut it off at the valve, and so now it doesn't matter that that tank is empty because we've cut it off. So the way to diagnose is you start troubleshooting one at a time. We cut that one off, we cut this one off, cut them all off, and start opening one leg at a time. Let's try that one. It's not that one. Running fine, right? Okay, cut it off. Let's cut this one on. Not that one, running fine. Okay, now we can't just cut the surfactant line on because it's only a 1/4 inch line, and so it wouldn't be enough flow to run the unit. But we know that we've pretty much figured it out at this point. We know this one's fine, we know this one's fine, and we know when we cut that one back on that the problem comes back. So that has allowed us to troubleshoot it down to isolating which one of these lines we're having the problem with. All right, so now that we know that it's this one or whichever one, you've got this clear hose here. And so you've just got to start tracing back and seeing, is it where at on this leg is our air leak coming from? Start looking at all this stuff and checking everything out. Make sure everything is sealed up. Make sure this union valve right here is tight. This and this, they thread together and seal up. So make sure all that stuff is tight. Make sure all of these joints are sealed up. Make sure this hose clamp is tight. Just work your way back to the tank, and it's usually going to be something really small, just a little bit of air getting in the line, and it doesn't take much to cause that. It doesn't have to be a 1/4 inch opening. It can just be a loose hose barb. So step one is figure out where it's at. Isolate your line to soap, water, bleach. Once you do that, you got to find out from there where in that line is your air leak coming in. If you're kind of stumped and you're not sure if it's in the manifold at all, oh, I'm falling down. What you can do is take this hose off right here, stick this hose into a 5-gallon bucket, and basically bypass the whole manifold. If your pump starts running correctly then you know your pump's not the problem. You know it's nothing inside the pump. It's somewhere back here. So it's just troubleshooting 101, guys, and you got to work your way backwards from the problem. If you're running the Pentair valves, that's why we changed to these valves. They can get hairline cracks in them, and it's very difficult to find where that crack is. And so it's a struggle. That's why we swapped to this, because these are much more robust. The GF valves are really nice, so they're a lot sturdier, but most of the time it's just gonna be a broke seal somewhere where something has come loose. So it's not fun, it's not something you like to do, but on our personal work truck, 2 or 3 times a year, we'll be spraying along, and then we notice a performance drop, a significant one. We know there's an air leak somewhere, and so we have to start going back and figuring out where it's at. We may have to replace a valve. We may have to just seal something back up, take it off, clean it, reseal it, whatever the case may be. So I hope that helps diagnose some of your issues that you may have. Just understand that these are maintenance things that we have to do, so it's not fun, but it's necessary. So anyway, hope y'all have a great day. Thanks.